Welcome to another episode of Poko's Primetime Picks.
Yes, it's that time for Poko Primetime Picks. I am Michael. I'll be your host today. Today we are going to talk about who to pick to win this week. If any of you have played the fantasy games, the fantasy football game Survivor, you'll be pretty familiar with this. But each week we pick a team from a matchup, and we'll talk about what kind of matchups we use. We pick that team to win and beat their opponent for that week. And we have some very special pickers to help us do this, including myself, my dad, who we refer to as Poko, my uncles, Scott and Uncle Terry, and then, of course, Ryan, my cousin Ryan. And we used to do this with my grandpa. He really loved it a lot, and we wanted to kind of carry on the tradition. Now, we also today are going to have a very special guest to help us make this pick, and we'll introduce that person later in the show. But today I would like to introduce my co-host, my dad, Poko. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to be back again.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. So, we should probably talk about last week. For those of you that tuned in last week, you already know, but for those of you who didn't, we made the choice of going with the Dallas Cowboys over the New Orleans Saints. And unfortunately, that pick did not hit. The Saints, they trumped the Cowboys 44-19, a very large upset.
Yeah, so I have to admit, after reviewing the picks, I thought it was an okay pick, but due to the fact that you picked another one, I think you may have to stay in detention for a little bit longer.
Yeah, unfortunately so.
Yeah, it was a tough one. A lot of people thought the Cowboys were going to, manhandle them, and it just didn't really work out. So, if it's okay with you, Michael, I would like to give the rundown of our personal Survivor teams.
Well, normally I would say no, as I'm not too great at it. But yeah, why not do it this week?
Okay, just a little background. So, we're giving you Survivor picks, and we're limiting ourselves to the primetime games. But, most of my family, we like the Blackhawks. We root for them. But we're never going to do a hockey podcast because that's not our thing. So to give you a little context, our family members have won my league's my work Survivor League numerous times. To include Grandpa, Poko Sr., he won 1 year as well. So, you can count on us to give you the right choices.
Just don't watch last week's episode.
That's right. And you can't watch the first episode because it's the lost episode.
That's right.
So, reviewing our personal teams, Michael Poko, last week he picked the Chargers, and they did win. He does
Broke
have
my streak.
Yeah, he does have one strike on the season, but, he made up for it with a W. Uncle Terry and Uncle Scott both went with Baltimore. And so Terry got his first strike, and Scott Poko he now has 2 strikes. So he could be in trouble this coming week. For me, I went with my primetime pick, Houston, and of course they did beat my Bears, and I have 0 strikes for the season.
Yeah, well, thanks for doing the recap. And that's right. Even though we may have missed last week, we do have a history of hitting these picks. Now,
sure do.
That is our personal Survivor League. We're allowed to kind of pick whoever we want as long as we haven't picked them yet. For Poko's Primetime Picks, we actually have a little bit more restrictions. What we do here is we pick both primetime games as well as the Tom Brady and Tony Romo announced games. So we have on the docket today a couple of different games that we can go between.
Okay. I'd like to give a quick rundown of each of the games, if I could.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
The Thursday night game is New England at Jets, and the Jets are -6. So I did some reading over the weekend, and I noticed that Aaron Rodgers is getting the ball out to like an average of 2.4 seconds, which is like the fastest in the NFL for the first 2 weeks. So without a doubt, it seems like he's fully recovered from that Achilles. The Jets, they actually snapped their 15-game losing streak against the Patriots last year in Week 18. So they're hoping to start a new streak of their own against New England. Now, Derek May, he's getting like around 30, it's been reported he's getting like 30% of the snaps. So if, look for New England to make a move if they continue to lose games. For the Romo game, we have the San Diego Chargers at Pittsburgh, San Diego. Pittsburgh's favored by 1.5. It seems like Tomlin likes Fields' approach to not losing. He had 41 turnovers in 40 games with the Bears, but he has not had any yet. So he's definitely protecting the ball. The San Diego team looks like it's on the rise with their new head coach. He did turn around the 49ers pretty quick. And his team has basically manhandled the Raiders and the Panthers in the first 2 weeks. Joey Bosa had a sack at each game. I was looking forward to his matchup against Pittsburgh's rookie tackle, but he was injured on Friday and he's out. And for your travel tip of the week, the Chargers have 5 East Coast games this season and have won 8 straight. So they seem to not mind traveling. Pittsburgh has a slight edge on Yahoo. They're only picked 0.21% of the time. The Jets, by the way, are picked 4.6% on Yahoo Survivor. Okay, for the Tom Brady game, he really should consider buying a house in Dallas because this will be his second Dallas Cowboy game. So Baltimore's favored by 1. Dallas, sadly, has been picked, so we cannot make that one of our choices. Baltimore is a little unusual. They're 0-2. That's kind of, not Jim Harbaugh's way. I don't see them panicking. I think they learned their lesson. I think you'll see Derrick Henry on the field a little more in crunch time than he was last week. So this game has big ramifications to 2 of the highly rated preseason teams. Right now, Baltimore is getting picked 0.17% on Yahoo Survivor.
Wow.
Yeah. For the Sunday night game, it's Kansas City at Atlanta. We have taken Kansas City, so that is off the board. The investment in Kirk Cousins, $180 million investment, it seemed to pay off last week with his late drive.
And it did, and he went under center. No more pistol only.
Yep, absolutely. And you saw Bijan Robinson. He's running the ball with power, and their secondary came up big against the Eagles. Travis Swift, he only has 4 catches on the season in 2 games. I think Coach Reed says that Kelsey has not lost a step. So Atlanta's picked 0.2% of the time on Yahoo Survivor. So we have a Monday night bonus game. It's Jacksonville at Buffalo. On the other hand, Kirk Cousins may look like he's paying dividends, but Trevor Lawrence, 5 years, $275. He could be joining Deshaun Watson as one of the worst deals ever, maybe. So if you look back at last season, the Jaguars, they were 8-3. They beat the Texans on November 26th. They were 8-3. Playoffs looked good, but they went 1-5 the rest of the way. And that one win was against Carolina. And Lawrence didn't even play in the game. During these 5-game losing streak, Lawrence had 11 turnovers and 17 sacks.
Wow.
Yes.
Seems the highly touted prospect
Exactly.
may not be panning out.
Yeah. So, starting 0-2, and if you look at their next 10 games, 6 of them are against 2023 playoff teams. And 4 of those teams won at least one playoff game last season. And plus, they have to spend 2 weeks in bloody England prior to their bye in Week 12. Buffalo's picked 5.1% of the time on Survivor. The other Monday night game is our first primetime look at Jaden Daniels. None of the rookie quarterbacks the first-round quarterbacks have thrown a touchdown pass yet. So we'll see if Jaden Daniels can make it happen. I look for the Bengals possibly to bounce back because they did have a decent showing against the Chiefs. And T. Higgins will be playing, so I think Burrows would be happy to have him back. Cincinnati, 9.2% on Yahoo Survivor. And that's about it.
Well, thanks for giving the rundown.
That's the candidates of the week.
So I got to ask, who is your pick of the week?
Okay, my pick of the week is going to be it's going to be the New York Jets. I'm not a fan of Rodgers.
Jets.
That's right.
I don't think anyone in here is.
I'm not a fan of Rodgers, but I am impressed with how he has bounced back from injury. And the Jets' defense is still looking really good. I could see New England getting blown out, and I think they may start considering that it might be time to move to Derek May. There's a fun fact for this game.
Not Derek. That's what I said.
New England's biggest win over the Jets came on a Thursday night in Thanksgiving in 2012, which was the Mark Sanchez butt fumble.
Ooh, what a throwback.
Yeah. And on CBS Sports, the writer Matt Geegan, he wrote that weird things tend to happen when you make teams play a football game on 3 days rest. So, yeah, the Jets are my pick of the week.
Well, thanks, Dad. So I will give my pick of the week now. And my pick is going to be the Buffalo Bills over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Nice.
We saw the Buffalo Bills manhandle the Miami Dolphins last week. Tua Tagovailoa, he did go down in that game. However, prior to that, they were really struggling to move the ball. It seemed like Buffalo found a way to stop Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And I think with the receivers that Jacksonville has, I don't see them being able to compete. They do have that rookie, Brian Thomas Jr., who's been looking pretty good. But I know they'll be without their tight end, Evan Ingram. I think Christian Kirk is also banged up. And they have, I believe, Gabe Davis, who was on Buffalo the previous year. That being said, I don't think his revenge game is going to put him over. Jacksonville does have a really good running back. But I just think that Buffalo, led by Josh Allen, will be too much for them. Their defense looked really well. And, Josh Allen, I think he can get it done. They ran the ball really well against Miami, which was nice to see from James Cook.
Excellent. Well, I received the picks from Terry Poko, Scott Poko, and Ryan Poko. So Terry Poko, he went with Cincinnati. He does not like the rookie quarterback on the road, and he sees Burrow being happy that Higgins is back and that they need a win badly. For Uncle Scott and Rhino Poko, I received a text from Scott Poko, and he passed on to me that they're taking Aaron Rodgers and the Jets.
Wow.
Yes. Now, I'm not 100% sure if the text came from Scott or if another Poko in the home may have got a hold of his phone and sent in the Rodgers pick. I'll have to investigate further, and I will keep you updated.
That's right. We do have one Poko in the family who is a Green Bay fan.
At least we all have iPhones. None of that green bubble. Okay, so that's the rundown of our primetime picks of the week. Now, everybody, this is the point of the show where we bring on our principal primetime picker. Now, everyone knows that the principal is in charge of things, and here on Poko's Primetime Picks, we are a democracy. However, each week we have to have one person that makes the important decision after we've laid out all the games and the Pokos have made their picks, that this will be the primetime pick of the week. So for this week, I have a very special guest that will join the show. This person is a Poko. This person's not necessarily part of Primetime Picks. However, she is a Poko. I would like to introduce Michelle Poko to the show. Hello, Michelle.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, that's great. So glad you could join us. Now you are a Poko, and you grew up with three brothers. How did that work out? How was that?
It was never boring.
Never boring. Okay, I can see that. Now, when the Poko brothers were growing up, did they have any interest in sports?
I mean, I would say our whole house was filled with sports. Our father pretty much listened to sports radio from the moment he woke up, and sports was always on the TV. My brothers were all in football, and I guess I would say there's a lot of sports going on.
Yeah, that's great. How about you? Are you a big sports fan?
I enjoy being a spectator. I enjoy yelling and drinking outside. But yeah, I've never really had that much coordination enough to play myself.
Right. So the one thing about the Poko family is, at least for the children, we were all alive to watch the Chicago teams win a championship in every sport.
Well, yeah, I mean, when the Bulls, I avidly watched myself when the Bulls were, when they were winning, dominating. That was a good time to be growing up in Chicago.
Yeah, you were a little young for the 85 Bears, but you were around.
Yeah, I do remember the Super Bowl shuffle.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that you like, going to the games and, cheering on and having a cold one. Have you been to any of the Chicago sports venues?
Oh, yeah. I've been to the Cubs, the Sox, even the Fire, and the Bulls. So I think what I'm missing is I might have seen the Blackhawks. I'm not sure. But I know I have never seen the Bears or the Wolves or the Sky. So
that's pretty good. You knew even the minor league teams. I like that. Well, maybe someday you'll get to venture to Soldier Field and watch a Bear game. Hopefully it'll be soon with our new quarterback in town. So thanks for giving us some info about yourself and the family. Are you ready to make the PPP of the week, the principal primetime picker?
I am, and I'm honored to do so.
All right, let's hear who we're going to be picking this week.
Well, I have to go with my nephew, Rhino, and I'm going with the Jets.
The Jets. That's a great pick. I know Rhino's father, Scott Poko, went with that pick. It was also my selection. So let's hope that even though we don't care for him in our family, let's hope Aaron Rodgers can bring us a victory.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on and taking part of the Poko Primetime Picks. And
of course,
have a good one,
Thank you
Michelle.
for having me. You too.
Okay.
Love you. Bye.
That was Michelle Poko, ladies and gentlemen. She's a great. She's our only sister in the Poko house, but we love her. And so I'm gonna pass it back to you, Mike. And let's go ahead and end the show.
Thank you so much, Aunt Michelle, for giving the principal pick. I think, as we all know, that will be the priority pick for us. And it seems like we have quite a few Pecornics that agree going with the Jets. So I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. And as we close out the show, for all of our sakes, go Jets.
Go Jets, yes. So thanks again for hosting the show, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I look forward to being the co-host next week.
Okay. So bye for me.
Yep, thank you, everyone. Don't forget to click and subscribe.